What's going on, and welcome on in to the Garage Beers Podcast, episode number 228. And we are here just the week before the Cleveland Browns, the NFL kicks off, and we have got a great show planned for you tonight. In just a bit, we're going to get to our special guest, Camryn Justice, for the fifth time. All 5 years we have done this, Camryn has joined us, and she plays the Browns schedule game with us. We're going to do it again tonight. We're going to walk through the whole Browns schedule with Camryn and just see where the wins and losses are going to come from and see how we all think the Browns are going to wrap up. Plus, we've got some other stuff to get to later in the show, some Guardians news, some college football, and so much more. So welcome on in. Buckle up, because it's going to be one heck of a ride here tonight. With you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Joining me in the garage tonight are the guys. First of all, over on the east side of Cleveland, find them online at Garage Beers Chad. It's Chad Meyer. What's up, Chad?
Hello.
Ooh, sexy Chad. Oh. Sexy Chad's here.
If you're listening to the audio version, no, this isn't two mics, because Lord knows we don't need two mics walking around. Oh, this is me, guys. I came home back from a sweet weekend at Hocking Hills with this voice, so I'm not feeling under the weather. I'm feeling a little under the weather at the moment, but you know, I'm here. Let's figure out what the Browns are going to do.
All right.
Damn, I like sexy Chad. I like when sexy Chad comes on into the show. That's
OBR after dark.
One of my favorite times, sexy Chad. Also joining us down in Nashville, Tennessee. Find him online at Garage Beers Joe. It's Joey Whalen. What's up, Joe?
I'm coming to Cleveland this week, boys.
Yeah. What? Why do I not know this?
Oh, you going to the Browns game?
I'm trying to go to the Browns game, but tickets, dude, they're like $200.
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know what you thought they would be.
Not 200. Come on. Looking for some like day of Craigslist tickets is what I'm going to try to do.
Fair. That's a good point.
You know,
check the Game Time app. I've used it a couple times. It's great.
Yeah.
No free ads. Sorry, but it does work.
It does. Yeah, it's not bad.
And let's get our newest sponsor, Game Time.
Yeah, right.
Hey, that'd be great.
No, that's cool, man. Excited to have you up here. And again, we're going to get into this weekend's game plus every weekend's game from here on out. But boys, I don't know about you guys. Chad, you were in Hocking Hills. I was in like southern Pennsylvania, but like really the first real weekend of college football. Like, this was great. And my team lost. And I really wanted my team to win, but they lost. But man, the first real weekend, I know they do week 0 and we got to act like we give a shit about random games that happen. But like the first real week of college football was here. And I have to give a special shout out just to start things off. And I'm going to play a video for you boys. Did you see the interception that happened in the Utah State Robert Morris game?
Yep.
I'm going to play it.
It's amazing.
I'm going to play it. If you haven't seen this, wait till we might have the play of the year in either college football or the NFL that happened this weekend. Check this play out by this defensive back from Robert Morris.
Here. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the most that is that to me is wilder than like the Odell Beckham catch that everybody brings up all the time. Like, college football is back. That was wild.
It's back, and the only thing that even comes close to that, and it's not even that close, is that Travis Hunter touchdown catch that you see on the goal. Remember that? I mean, you couldn't. The North Dakota State kid literally did absolutely nothing wrong, and Travis Hunter just reaches his hands in front of him as he's falling away and just somehow pulls it down. Yeah, no, it's that play. It's that Travis Hunter catch. It's the USC LSU game. I just love college football so much. Your game, Mike. You know, your game. We'll talk about it if you want to. I love it. It's college football. It's so unpredictable. It's amazing.
See Brian Kelly pound his fist after that game.
Yeah,
so
douchebag.
It's the fakest dude I've ever seen in my life. Just fake Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
I'm really mad now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tapping on the table. Like when you have the audio behind it, it's not It's not pounding. It's just like a
great. Whoa, take it easy.
week.
You're gonna scare children. Listen, it was awesome. College football's here. We got pro football coming this weekend. Obviously, baseball, the season's winding up. The Cleveland Guardians are in a race. We're going to talk about that later. And all of this is brought to you proudly on the OBR streaming network. The Orange and Brown Report is the best place to just catch what's going on with the Cleveland Browns and then to hang out with us every single week. The OBR streaming network, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or X. Right now, I think we're doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 9 shows a week, and then we're going to do pre and post game for the Browns. We got all kinds of videos, content, all kinds of written content. So make sure you get over to the OBR.com, hit subscribe, and whether you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch or wherever tonight, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like it, share it with your friends. Make sure everybody's hanging out with us here on the OBR streaming network. And while I'm giving out special shout outs, make sure you're following us on the socials at the Garage Beers everywhere you follow, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Make sure you are at the Garage Beers following us for all the latest stuff we got going on. Any news, any new guests, anything we've got going on, make sure you're tuned in there. Boys, we're waiting on Camryn. So while we wait on Camryn, why don't we just send it into our Garage Beers of the Week? And then when she gets here, she can just tell us what she is drinking. So let's get kicking with our Garage Beers of the Week. You guys get in the comments if you're joining us live and tell us what you're drinking tonight. But Joe, down in Nashville, man, what are you drinking tonight? What's your beer of the week? You're muted. Why are you always muted?
Oh, I'm always muted. I don't know.
Damn it.
Miller High Life. It was my draft beer this year. All my drafts sucked. So this is just like a beer to spare now. And it kind of gives me bad memories, but it tastes good. So yay.
There we go.
All right. Did you not feel good about the drafts this year?
I think I had some strategy behind it, but I think I reached a little bit on some people. And I think I could have waited probably like 2 or 3 rounds on some guys I took. But it was tough the way we did it. So the keeper league, when you're drafting, if you had like traded, maybe if you traded a pick, it shows correct, but you don't see your keeper. It just goes to your pick and then skips it. Okay. I forgot what round it was, and it kind of messed me up like pretty early on. So yeah, just kind of some self-inflicted wounds.
You done messed up. You done messed up, Joe.
I think it'll be good. It'll be serviceable.
All right. So chat username in the comments says you look like you have a fidget spinner halo behind your head. I mean, it's also known as a ceiling fan, but that works.
It is. I was saying today.
I like fidget spinner halo.
It is. I can turn it off so it's not as distracting.
I do too. Sexy voice Chad, what's the drink of choice tonight?
Well, I was not going to participate tonight. But then I saw a beer in the fridge that I meant to drink in Hocking Hills. And I said,
the only one you didn't get to?
Yeah, pretty much. And I said, all right, fine. I'll drink this on the show. Big Oyster Brewery out there in Delaware. And it's the Noir et Bleu to get a, if you're wondering why I have this unruly French accent.
You got your sexy voice and now you're drinking a beer called Noir et Bleu. What's
Noir
happening here?
Oh, excuse me. Noir et Bleu. There we go. How's that? And it's a Belgian triple, and it's I can't wait to finish it because I can't wait to be done with alcohol for a little bit.
We got some people jumping into the comments. Derek DeWolf's drinking the Dirty Shirley. Always delicious. Can't go wrong.
Ooh, love a Dirty Shirley.
What is that?
It's like a Shirley Temple with alcohol.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, sweet.
Ray Bidding is out there in Phoenix. What's up, Ray, out there in Phoenix? Drinking a Modelo. Can't go wrong with that either, especially that kind of weather. Modelo hits the spot just right. All right, so it's going to bring it to me, and I see our special guest is in the background, so I'm going to let her get set up, and then we'll bring her in. But I'm going to give a shout-out to my buddy Joe Braun, and Joe Braun's a guy you'll see in the comments here on YouTube or Twitch, or I don't even know where he watches, but a friend of mine who recently took a job at the Finley Brewing Company out there in Western OH.
Nice.
And so today I had a special delivery of 10 kind of random beers from the Findlay Brewing Company. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pick out some of the ones that I thought were interesting, and we're going to roll with it. So I'm taking a pumpkin break. I know it surprises you guys. I'm taking a pumpkin break. But I'm going to start with the Interdimensional Palate Cleanser IPA. The only IPA. There was only one out of the 10 was an IPA. This is the Interdimensional Palate Cleanser, and this is going to be beer number 1. I'll let you guys know when I get to beer number 2, and we'll just give it a rate there. But there it is. Just a lovely little amber IPA.
Very
color.
nice. Very nice.
And it's a good name for it because it's not real heavy. It's a real easy drinker. You could drink about 15 palate cleansers, which, again, it's an appropriate name. And, yeah, really good. So shout out to Joe Braun for the 10-pack of beers that I received today from Findlay Brewing Company. If you're ever out in that area, check out Joe. Check out Findlay Brewing Company. But those are our garage beers of the week. And now I believe she's set up in the background here. And so we're going to bring in our special guest. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the 5th year in a row, the 5th annual Garage Beers Brown Schedule game. And there is nobody that we can do this with if it isn't our special guest. She has been with us from the beginning with the Brown Schedule game, and she's joining us again tonight. You know her from Channel 5 WEWS here in Cleveland. You know her from kind of everywhere. Her social media is great. She keeps you up to date with everything going on with the Browns, and one of the best sources for Browns coverage, sports coverage in all of Cleveland. We're going to bring her in right now. It's Camryn Justice. Camryn, welcome back into the garage.
Listen, I was wondering, I didn't hear from you guys for a while, and I was like, we're not doing this anymore? Is this not a tradition?
You forgot about us. Don't try to play it off.
No, this is how I know it's football season, when I'm coming on to do this game. I mean, otherwise, and what am I doing? So I'm very excited that we're here, a couple days away from week 1 starting, and this now feels right because we're here and we've got drinks and we're here to, play the schedule game and get everything wrong on my end. Just the number is usually right, but like the guesses are usually a little off.
Hi, Peter John Baptiste. Can you hold this interview? I really got to go on Garage Beers and play the schedule game. We got to really hold football season. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Well, Camryn, it's so good to have you back on. And you're right. It's not time for Brown season until we do this. So before we get into it, and a couple quick questions we have for you before we start the schedule game, what are you drinking tonight? You bring on usually a pretty solid variety of drinks. So what's the drink tonight?
Yeah, I know we do garage beers. I don't have any beers left unless we're going a Michelob Ultra, which I wasn't really feeling that right now. So I made a hibiscus margarita.
Let's go. Yeah, you usually got booze
incredible.
Anyway. It's amazing.
Incredible.
I'm sorry.
The bar's behind me.
You come in like a hibiscus margarita?
Uh-huh.
We don't come in regular. We don't come in with one of those amateur flavors like strawberry or raspberry. We're going hibiscus.
Absolutely. Every single time. I mean, we're like, this is the standard for garage beers. I'm not bringing a classic, boring margarita. We're here to have fun.
Yeah. So, Joey, no more Miller High Life, okay? If your baseline is margaritas,
I gotta raise the bar.
Yeah, for real.
Joey, if you have any hibiscus flavoring in the house, just dump it into your High Life.
Yeah.
And we'll make it. Well, it'll be a whole new thing.
I got lavender. Yeah. Got some lavender syrup.
Ooh.
High Life.
Yeah.
Lovely.
If you put lavender into a High Life, a puppy in Milwaukee dies.
I could get some orange juice and do a little hillbilly mimosa.
No, it's all good.
Oh, that's amazing. Could you do that?
Camryn, it sounds delicious. We're so excited to have you on. Let's just catch up for a minute. And I think we did this. I think when we did this last year, we talked for like a half hour before we did the schedule game. We're going to avoid that this year. We're going to jump right into the schedule game. But I do have a couple quick questions, again, because you are around the team as much as you are. And now, I mean, how many seasons have you been covering the Browns now?
For News 5, we're going into year 6 at News 5. So I guess 5.5 years. Mm-hmm. With them, but I think my first coverage was the 2016 into 2017 season. That was the first time that I was ever credentialed. That was with the University of Akron. So it's been a while, just prominently, and for as much as I have, I would say this is year 4 of like really being there all the time because it started in the pandemic.
Well, I think one of the interesting things is when you talk about training camp and you talk about practice and you talk about the team preparing for a season, camps always tended to have every camp has its own little kind of personality, its own kind of vibe to it. And every year the vibe's a little different at camp. So now that you've covered them for years and you've been to a lot of training camps and a lot of practices, what's the vibe of this year's? What's the vibe coming in? What's maybe a little bit of a difference with this year's team than what you've noticed in the past?
Yeah, vibes are weird. in not a bad way. Not in a bad way, but they are different. And I think it's just because, we've seen the continuity and consistency from this Browns team in recent years, but not really like this, right? You have the head coach and the GM, that's been solidified. You've got a solid coaching staff that has, for the most part, been solidified, but pieces here and there, coordinators shifting, all that good stuff. But really on the roster too, like you've got your core, but every year since this change and increase in consistency, there's been something big that changed, right? Like you get a new defensive coordinator, a new special teams coordinator, you get a new quarterback. Like there's always something. Who's going to be the edge rusher against Myles Garrett? Who's going to be on his other side? And so there's always those big kind of pieces. And this year that isn't really the case. You have the question marks of where Deshaun Watson's going to play, but everything else is the same. The defense is the same. The coordinators are the same aside from Ken Dorsey, but that offense he kind of fits Kevin Stefanski. I don't expect it to be crazy different. I think just a revamp. And so you've got this, you've got a base understanding of what this team can do and how well they can play. And I think that the vibes now are just a little strange because it's like, okay, now the only thing left to do is see how it actually comes together on the field. There's no real predicting because you can't predict what's left to figure out, which is quarterback play. And that just comes down to it. You have to see it. And then just those little tweaks, like can they make those tweaks that are enough to boost the offense in a way that they weren't last year, but also in a way that's complementary of Deshaun Watson. So it really, to me, all comes back down to Deshaun Watson, which is another reason I think the vibes are a little different because he's been rehabbing. He's been ramping up. You haven't seen a full go Deshaun Watson yet. You haven't, and like you've seen pieces and parts, you've seen his shoulder really able to make those deep throws, but for a lot of training camp, it was and mini camp, right? It was every other day, and then he ramped that up, but he's still just going kind of through the short passes. He's not letting it fly in front of us. Now, I know that's happening. That's absolutely happening. He's letting it soar, but you haven't really seen that. And I think that's kind of all together making it like this, what are we going to get? Because nobody knows. And it really comes down to week 1, and we get to see it in action and what he's able to do and how he's able to work through that game, I think is a real big indicator. So that's why I think it's a little different, but we're here for different. It doesn't always mean it's a bad thing.
This is going to make the schedule game real fun because we've been, what are we going to get for the last 3 years? This is going to be interesting.
My last question before we go into that schedule game, just because it's timely, the Browns dropped on their social media, they dropped their first unofficial depth chart. And there's really only one interesting thing, I think, on there. Otherwise, I think everything looks pretty much as you would expect it to look. But I think a lot of people wondered what that offensive line was going to look like. DeJuan Jones made a lot of fans in this town last year. He made a lot of fans. People love the big Thanos. But when the first unofficial depth chart came out, and again, we still don't know about health yet, but when the first unofficial depth chart came out, Jed Wills is listed at the number 1 left tackle. Jack Conklin's listed at the number 2 right tackle, and DeJuan Jones is listed behind Jack Conklin at the right tackle position. So your impressions there, and then what do you know? Because I know we haven't really seen Jed out there. So what do we know about kind of what we think that's going to how that's going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, Wednesday is truly the indicator to me of what we're going to have out on the field. Like if Jedrick Wills is not back at practice on Wednesday, that's to me a clear sign that he's not ready to go week 1. And even then, I think that it would be a stretch for him to play in week 1 just because we haven't seen him. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't. And this isn't his first year where he needs, work at it. I think getting the rust of not practicing for an entire year almost, like we're going on 10 months. Like it's been a long time since he's had any action out there. And so I think it would be maybe in my mind a stretch. Maybe the Browns feel a little bit more comfortable about it than I do, but I would be surprised if Jedrick Wills is ready for week 1. And I think that the Browns know that they have contingency plans in place, which include that depth chart not looking like that, right? I think Jack Conklin is a big part of the plan for left tackle, which then puts DeJuan Jones starting at right tackle. And even when Jedrick Wills comes back, I think DeJuan Jones really did prove himself, and that's not a kind of talent that you want that on the field. You can't teach size, and DeJuan Jones was on pace to have just an incredible rookie year. And I don't think that it's not a punishment, but I don't think you want to shy away from that. You want to lean into that. So even if Jack Conklin is listed on that unofficial depth chart as, that number 1 with DeJuan behind him, maybe that's the case for 1 game or 2 games. I think that what you could see is a matchup rotationally where it makes sense for DeJuan to play and it makes sense for Jack Conklin to play health-wise, how they're feeling. I think that you can have an offensive line rotation because they've done it already. It's not, in a lot of cases, you don't like to do that. You want consistency on the O-line because they are such a unit, but this unit has been so accustomed to having fill-in and plug-ins that I don't think that it would be weird. And I think that would be a good solution for them to keep DeJuan Jones active and on a roll. But also it gives Jack Conklin some rest. He's dealt with injuries for the past several seasons. And so to give him that workload off and to kind of pass it back and forth between him and DeJuan makes sense to me. And I think that would be a really good alternative. So the depth chart is there to kind of it's Jack Conklin is a veteran. DeJuan Jones is in year 2. So I think that's kind of where that plays out, but that doesn't necessarily dictate what we will see. And I'm curious to see how they do kind of spread the time between them if they choose to go rotation. I think it's a good option. I would go with it. I'm not the GM and I'm not the coach though, so we'll see.
I trust you though, Camryn. I trust what you say. I'm going to follow along with what Cameron Justice says. All right, without further ado, the 2024 season is upon us. It kicks off in just 2 days with the Kansas City Chiefs. Who are they playing? Why am I forgetting? Who are the Chiefs playing? It's a big game. Who are they playing?
Dallas?
No.
We're playing Dallas.
Wow, that was a dumb thing.
Chiefs are
on Thursday night. Who are they playing?
They're playing the Ravens.
The Baltimore.
Ravens.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's always Baltimore. So it kicks off. I should have had that prepared. It kicks off Thursday night, Baltimore at Kansas City, and we got to wait. It's going to be a long day Sunday, so buckle the hell up because we get to wait until that 4:25 slot, America's game, and quote unquote America's team comes into Cleveland, the Dallas Cowboys, the Cleveland Browns to kick things off. Cameron Justice, let's get into the schedule game. Talk about this game. Browns Cowboys. How do you see it going?
I got called crazy for this when I was talking about it the other day. I could see it going both ways, to be honest. Like, Dallas is not going to be an easy team. A 4:25 game, first game. It's going to be a long day to get to it. And when it gets here, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure riding on this game. It's the first game that we see Deshaun Watson since that injury. You got a new offense, some tweaks there, what we're looking forward to seeing. And I think that's a lot of pressure. So I could see it going both ways. But I do like the Browns in this one coming out the gates hot, mostly the defense. I think the defense knows what they have to do here. They know that the offense could be hit or miss, right? Like it might be a rocky start because they've got some things to figure out. So I think the defense just comes out full force. They've got something to prove. It wasn't a fluke. They're at home. They got to take full advantage. They know they can play well at home. And I think that this is really kind of maybe a defensive struggle for both teams, but I like the Browns defense to kind of one up them and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a close one, but I'll take the Browns on this one. Week 1, home opener, season opening win.
Let's go. Cameron starting us off hot. Joey.
I'm also going to the Browns to win on this one. I agree, though. I think it's going to be a pretty big defensive battle, potentially a low-scoring game here. But we're going to take the Browns at home, week 1.
Man, I like this. I like where we're going here, guys. I like where we're going. Chad.
Oh, we'll just wait.
Dak's going to throw the ball 900 times. He's going to throw 8 picks, and the Browns win 20-17.
Oh, God. He throws 8 picks, and we win 20-17.
Yeah, it's just
so wrong.
Yep.
Listen, I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I think the Browns, this is going to sound really weird, but I think the Browns are superior talent to the Dallas Cowboys. I think obviously an area of concern is quarterback. Dak Prescott, he's good. We hope Deshaun's going to be good. But when you look at the Cowboys, really good offensive line, but they are also starting 2 rookies in this game. CeeDee Lamb is elite, but who else? We're talking about Brandon Cooks, and then name another Cowboys wide receiver. Ezekiel Elliott is the starting running back.
That's kind of crazy.
Since his rookie season, his average yards per game has gone down every year. It's an incredible stat. It's hard to even do that. But Zeke, defensively, they're going to be good. Obviously, they're going to get after Deshaun Watson, and that's where you hope his mobility comes into play. But, let's not act like the loss of Deron Bland for the first month of the season isn't going to be tough for the Cowboys to overcome. The dude scored most of their touchdowns last year, led the league in pick sixes. And their cornerback room is much shallower. It's not nearly as deep as it was last year. So, again, I think the Browns are a more supremely talented team everywhere except for quarterback, and we'll see how that plays out. Give me the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to give them a 10-point. I'm going 27-17. I think the Browns are going to take this one. I think they're going to be pumped. Huntington Bank Field is going to be crazy, and the Browns are going to be ready to go. So we all got them starting 1-0. Let's move in to the next game where they will travel down to Jacksonville and take on the Jaguars. Camryn, lead us off.
Okay, you guys aren't going to like this, but I'm looking at the schedule, and it just feels very front-loaded with a lot of easy wins. And so I don't want to go too unrealistic here. They can't start out undefeated for too long, right? So a little shocker. I'm going to go the Jags in this one. Trevor Lawrence has a game, just a game. And I think that maybe the defense struggles that road game, right? This is their goal this year is to play better on the road, but maybe it takes a little bit. I'm really just doing this because I can't give them a full slate of wins. They've got to have one, and it's going to get wild here later on. So this is the sneak loss. I think that they're a better team, and they should win that one. I think they should win it, but I'm going to give them the L just so I have some realistic numbers here to play with.
All right, fine, Camryn. All right, Joe.
I'm buying into the front loaded schedule. We're gonna dub here. We're going down Jacksonville. We're taking it from the Jaguars. I don't really buy their defense a whole lot. I think they have decent weapons. I think they've had a couple interesting moves, losing Calvin Ridley, and that other guy. I don't remember the other guy off the top of my head right now.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember.
Yeah, forgettable name. Forgettable guy. Probably on my fantasy team. For the Falcons or something like that. But yeah, give me the Browns here.
Chad.
They traded Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones.
That's it.
For a rookie. And what's his name? Oh, it's forgettable. He's forgettable. Browns defense.
The other forgettable guy.
Browns defense, I think, struggles early because of the road situation that they have. I think Trevor Lawrence puts up points in the first half, but Deshaun Watson brings the Browns back in the second half, and the Browns win 24-21. Let's go.
Yeah, listen, I think for me, when we're talking defensively, I think last year was a really good indicator of what you will usually see in a good system with a new coach, which is at home with the home field advantage, that defense is locked in, and on the road, again, you're still in the first year of a new head coach and system, and things can get a little weird. Year 2 is where you expect that to lock up a little bit, and I certainly expect it to lock up. I don't get Jacksonville at all. I don't get them. I don't understand the hype year in and year out. I don't get Trevor Lawrence in the slightest. Give me the Cleveland Browns all day, every day. And I'm with you, Joe. I get it, Cam. I get it. Early schedule. But these are the games. If we want the Browns to go where they want to go, you got to get these games, and you got to get off to a hot start. I'm going to get them off to that hot start. I'm going to make them 2-0. All right, so we move on. Home, another just juggernaut team right at the moment. The New York Giants come into town. This will not be a current picture of the game, but I just thought it was fun. The New York Giants come to town. Danny Dimes and whoever the hell else plays for the Giants at this point comes to town to take on the Browns. Camryn, are they gonna bounce back from that Jacksonville loss?
They're gonna bounce back from the Jacksonville loss. They're gonna be like, I had to do this because Cam said we had to, and we had to get a loss somewhere in here, and so here we are. No, I don't. I think Daniel Jones has showed you who he is. I don't think that is a huge threat to this Browns defense. They should absolutely take care of him. And, their big claim to fame right now this year, they're banking on is Malik Neighbors, right? And if he's going to be good, I don't know. Like, I don't know that he's got it in him to be the guy to take them anywhere in the realm of beating the Browns at home. I don't see it happening. And back at home in Cleveland, I think that this is going to feel like a confident win for them. They'll go in, take care of business. And, I think this is a game where the offense can start to shape things up, find their groove. 3 games in, you're going up against a team that you should kind of be able to navigate relatively easy through. I think this is where Deshaun Watson and the Browns offense could really start to hit a stride and to figure themselves out. So back in the win column in this week 3.
All right, another win. Joe?
Boys are starting 3-0.
It's
not much that scares me about the Giants. Even if the Browns aren't as good as they were last year, I feel like this should be a walk in the park kind of game, not a trap game because you got the Raiders the next week. So we're going to give them the win.
I think what you guys are forgetting about here is Brian Daboll's calling plays again. And when Brian Daboll called plays, he was a miracle worker with Daniel Jones. He got him to the playoffs, and I think Devin Singletary has a game. This game runs for probably 100+ yards, maybe a touchdown here. So give me the Browns 10-7. 3-0, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, God, I forgot about Chad's score predictions. I'm giving this a Browns win, but I think this is going to be a game that frustrates. Like, I get what everybody's saying, but Daniel Jones is the kind of quarterback that can just make those stupid. He won't make any plays with his arms, but then it'll be 3rd and 17, and you're like, cool, we're forcing them into a punt. We're going to get good field position, and Daniel Jones drops back and he rolls around a minute. And next thing you know, he's 32 yards down the field. And I think there will be times where he maybe hits the Browns with a couple of those in this game. I don't think it's going to be particularly close, but I do think there's going to be moments of frustration in this game because he is obnoxious to play against, even though he's not very good. Give me the Browns by 2 scores still, but I think it could be a game where you kind of feel like a little bit of relief when we get done with it. That's kind of how I feel about this game. All right. So really quick, catching up. Camryn, the only person to give a loss so far. Camryn has got the Browns at 2-1. Chad, Joey, and I all have them at 3-0 through the Dallas, Jacksonville, New York Giants game. And that takes us out west. And we're going to head to Vegas. The Browns and the Raiders in Las Vegas. Camryn, how do you see this going against the Fighting Aiden O'Donnells?
Oh, well, the fact that it's going against Aiden O'Donnell and you've got Minshew, Nathan Peterman was on the rock. It's just, if you think that the quarterback situation in Cleveland is messy, I think just feel good about it when you look at the Raiders. I think notoriously the Browns have for years kind of struggled at times playing in Vegas, no matter who was on the field. So I do think that plays into it, but this is a win. Offensive line gets tested by Max Crosby. Other than that, this should be a no-brainer win. This should be one of those ones where it's like, yeah, we're clearly the better team. This team is dysfunctional and in the midst of a ton of change. I cannot see the Browns losing this one. It's been a long time, though. It's been a long time since the Browns beat the Raiders. So I think this is where they break that streak. It was 2013, 14, something like that last time they won. So I think that ends this year and the Browns get the win.
All right, so you got the Browns getting the win. Joey, Browns, Raiders.
Yeah, I think the Browns' biggest tests this year are going to be against teams that have a really good defensive line, because I don't feel as confident about our offensive line as I have in years past. So I think the teams that are going to be the Browns are going to be the ones that really can disrupt that line. I don't think the Raiders are going to be it, because I think their offense is just going to be it's going to be so vanilla. It's just, I don't know where that firepower is going to come from. I mean, Minshew magic is good for a couple games a year, but like this is week 4 already, so like that could be spent by this game. It's gonna be the Browns.
Chad, your microphone's off or something.
Gardner Minshew's going to get in the Browns' head before the game by going out in the field and warming up in his jockstrap like he does in the locker rooms for with his own teammates. It's pretty disgusting. I don't get why he does it, but it's a way of getting into people's heads. So Gardner Minshew's going to go and have a game, and he played really well against this Browns defense last year. Now, granted, this Raiders offense, their offensive line is not the Colts' offensive line, but I think Gardner Minshew can make some plays, especially at home. Browns win 36-35. Let's go.
Hey, let's go. I'm with you guys. I'm going to go another Browns win. Yeah, Gardner Minshew showed you last year in Indianapolis that you let him get out and make. Again, you lose contain on Gardner Minshew. It's the same thing as Daniel Jones. You got 2 of these quarterbacks in a row if Minshew's the one that's playing for the Raiders. If Minshew gets out of the pocket and does things, he's disrupted, but you let him make plays in chaos, he's going to make plays in chaos. That's the way he plays. But if you contain Gardner Minshew and make him beat you from the pocket, he will never do it one time in the history of time. He will never beat you from the pocket. So for the Browns, get to him, but contain him. Hopefully that's a lesson learned if Minshew's the quarterback. Otherwise, though, don't let Devontae Adams have 200 yards receiving, and there's other guys on the team apparently. It's just not a very stacked roster out there in Vegas.
Believe it or not, there are other guys on the team.
Yeah, well, it remains to be seen. We'll have to see that when the season rolls around.
All right.
But I think it's a party for the Browns in Vegas. Go get a win and keep the win train going, especially this early time of the year. All right, so from Vegas, tough road trip. From Vegas, they come home for a little bit, but then all the way to the other side of the country, they go to Washington to play the Commanders, a rookie quarterback, really a totally revamped roster, right? This is a Washington Commanders team that got rid of kind of all their good defensive players last year in weird trades. They go out and draft a new quarterback out of LSU, and they get Austin Eckler for some reason, which is strange. But Browns Commanders, Camryn.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a little more tough than I would like it to be, but I think that again, I just keep banking on the Browns defense. I think that's like the one thing that I know for certain is going like how they can perform. And I think they can make Jaden Daniels feel as if he is a rookie. And like that, I think that's always something in the back of Myles Garrett's head, right? When he's like, he loves sacking quarterbacks. Absolutely. But when you get a rookie, when you get a little freshman back there under center, I think that's the bread and butter of Myles Garrett. Just a welcome to the league moment. And I think that the Browns defense has their way. I think Washington has done a lot of interesting things. We'll see if they're good things, but I do like how they've addressed some of their needs. They have not been a good team. They've needed to make some change. They've made some additions. You can't be mad at that, but I don't think it's enough. And I think the Browns get the win here.
Another win in the books. Camryn, real quick, has the Browns at 4-1 through the first 5 weeks. Joe, what are you going to do here?
Potential Nick Chubb return game here?
Oh, that's why. Dude, I'm so stupid. Thank you for bringing this up. Yes, Nick Chubb out for the first 4 weeks. That's why I chose this picture
at least
for the damn slideshow. But he's pumped for the first 4 weeks. This could be the Nick Chubb return game, which is why I picked Nick Chubb running all over the Commanders in this picture. So, yes, good point. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a Nick Chubb in the return game. But I agree. I think, while the offense is inevitably going to need to figure things out this first stretch of the season, they can afford some mistakes here and there because the schedule is so light to start the season. And I think Washington's no exception. I think the defense really holds us in it. And give me the Browns again.
Joey's got the Browns at 5-0 through 5 weeks. Chad, are you going to continue that trend?
Damn right I am. This is going to be a wake-up call for Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels, through the first couple of weeks, I think he's going to come into this game with a lot of hype because he's able to run around. And by all accounts, he's been done really well in his little action he's seen in the preseason. So people have a lot of confidence, and I think he's going to have a few good games to start the season. But this Browns defense is going to be too much for him. And he might make some plays here, but I think he's going to get beat up all game. I think he's going to be scrambled. I think he's going to be rushed out of the pocket all game and going to get beat up a little bit here. And I think the Browns come out on top after this one.
Man, I'm looking at my schedule. I'm going, I got the Browns 4-0 through 4 weeks. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's excited. I'm giving the Browns a loss in this game. I'm going to pick the Commanders in this one on the road.
Just because. You did that just because.
Nah, it's off of a West Coast win, which the Browns are not usually good at getting West Coast wins. It's off a West Coast win. They come off of that
week in between.
It doesn't matter. They come back, and I do think the Commanders are going to be a little weirdly tough this year. I don't think they're going to be good, but I think they're going to be tough. And Joe, this is your favorite kind of game. You're in Washington 1 week looking at a rookie quarterback and not a great set of players all over the place. Although I love Terry McLaurin. And defensively, they got rid of some good players. And you're looking at the Eagles the next week going, oh, shit, all right, Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and, like, the whole crew. I think this could be your trap game of the season, and I'm going to give this one to the Commanders.
It's not the trap game of the season. Come on. We already got that picked out. It's later.
All right. So, again, the Browns are going to stay on the road, a little tough road stretch here. On the road in Vegas, on the road in Washington. They don't have to go far because their next game on the road in Philadelphia against the Eagles, Browns, Eagles, and after what looks like a pretty nice start to the schedule for the Cleveland Browns, outside of that Dallas game, which should be a challenge, here come the Philadelphia Eagles and a loaded roster, good everywhere, defense, offense. They got a little bit of everything going on. Camryn, how do you feel about the Browns going into Philly?
Well, I think at this point, Philly is still playing well. They haven't choked it away. They haven't let it all go. So I think this will be a really tough game. On the road, I gave them a win the week before. I think this is where they get another loss. The Eagles are, as much as they were in their own way, they are a loaded team. They've offense, defense. They are, I mean, it's a challenge. It will be a challenge. If the Browns can play them tight, I think that would be promising. I'll give them a loss, but it would be nice to see them really compete. I think that's a key indicator this season. It's games like this, win or loss. I mean, you want it to be competitive. Don't let the Eagles blow you out. Don't let them make you feel like you're at a road game. Play them hard. I think that's a win. We don't do moral victory. So, but I will call it a moral victory if they play well, but they're gonna get a loss one on this one for me.
Joey?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and give them a loss on this one as well. I think, again, this is another team that has a great defense. And I think that as high powered as that Eagles offense is, it's going to be really tough for the Browns to slow them down completely on the road. Again, if you go back off of last year's numbers, we would probably get smoked in this game of how we perform on the road. So, confidence is not super high for this one. I agree with you, Camryn. I'd love to see them just be competitive in this game, show that they can, keep it close. But I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles here.
All right, we got 2 losses. Chad?
There's a creature lurking outside of my porch right now, and I was just wondering what it was, and all of a sudden a raccoon just popped up on the thing. It's on my grill right now. It make me something.
Hey, is that the Browns Bears podcast?
This first gut check time for the Browns. I think they learned a lot from last year, and I think the Browns win this one in a close one.
Ooh. So Chad's got the Browns going to Philly and getting a win, and guess what? I got the Browns bouncing back from that trap game, being real pissed off that they went to Washington and got a loss. And I got them going to Philly and taking it out on the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, if there is any team in this league that is well enough equipped to deal with the likes of the wide receivers, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and who else they got? The guy they just traded for from Washington, from the Commanders. if there's a team well enough equipped to deal with the wide receivers and the weapons that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to throw at them, it's the Cleveland Browns. Saquon Barkley out of the backfield is certainly scary for the Philadelphia Eagles. Him and having to defend him and Jalen Hurts is scary. But you know what? I think the Browns are pissed off after a loss in Washington. I think they go get a win in Philadelphia. And I think this is like that. I think this is the moment for the Browns where it's like, the beginning of the schedule was kind of easy. You lost in Washington, but it's like, yeah, but look what we did. We bounced back. This is the kind of team we are. I think this is like an identity-defining win for the Cleveland Browns, and I think it happens in Philly. So, after that, the Browns come home for the first time in a few weeks, and they get their first divisional opponent, the Fighting Joe Burrows, assuming he is playing at this point, and the Cincinnati Bengals come into Cleveland to take on the Browns. Camryn, what do you think about this first Bengals game?
Well, I mean, the Browns have the Bengals number, so I'm going to give them the win here, but I think that and obviously this all it's hit or miss. You never know. Things get sorted out. It's the business. But I think the Bengals are in a weird situation. I think the messiness that is the Jamar Chase saga it's gone on for a very long time. And every team has these things, right? Like Cleveland had it with Amari Cooper recently.
Right.
But the fact that it's so ongoing it's still happening. There's uncertainty if he's going to be able to play. If he's going to play week 1. That's crazy that it's led into the season. So to me, I feel like that does that, and that leaves an effect. I mean, if he doesn't play week 1, even if he's back week 2, that in itself it spreads. It starts to fester, and I think that brings up some things that could be turmoil for the Bengals. And that aside, all that situation aside, the Browns just played the Bengals very well, and I think this is a game where I'm going to give them a win because to this point, they've shown me no reason to pick against the Browns versus the Bengals.
What? Why do the Bengals do this? Like they're having flea markets just to be able to afford their good players, right? Like they're selling off TVs.
Selling TVs?
Yeah. I mean, like I don't know. Like is Mike Brown having like a potluck dinner just to be able to like fundraise to like pay? Like why do they do this?
Well, it's not working. It's not working, and it's making them. And they always look bad. They always come out looking like the losers. That's what happens with the Bengals, and it would frustrate the hell out of you if you were a Cincinnati fan, right? Because you're like, man, we look at the talent that's here, and we finally have the quarterback and the receivers, and look at all the stuff that we have, and then for the ownership and the front office to just make a mockery of the football team. It's gross. It's gross.
They didn't even get an indoor practice facility until this year? like.
Yeah, they used to practice under the bridge when you would drive into Kentucky. It was just right there.
Yeah.
Joey, how do you got this game going?
Browns don't lose to the Bengals. Not this year and not last year. Maybe last year? No, not last year. No. So Browns are going to win this one. They're still selling TVs at this point. They might switch to chocolate bars maybe by week 3. It's a couple of bake sales mixed in there. So, no, I feel pretty good about this one as a win for the Browns.
Will they get Jamar Chase to dress up like a Girl Scout and sell some Thin Mints? That is the question. Chad, how's the game going?
That'd be amazing. I mean, like popcorn, maybe some Boy Scout popcorn.
I'd buy it.
I don't know.
I love
it. Yeah, I mean, there's nobody in Joe Burrow's head more in the league than Myles Garrett is. If you watch the game, it is plain as day. Anytime Joe Burrow feels Myles for a second, he bails. I think that's a big reason why the Bengals don't play well against the Browns and why they have their number. So I think the Browns kick the Bengals' dicks in and just kill them.
I love Surge in the comments. Jamar Chase thought he was getting a TV deal. Turns out he heard it wrong. They needed to sell TVs to give him the deal. Well done, Serge.
Listen, Jamar, I got this 55-inch Vizio. As soon as we sell that, we can give you the $40 million a year.
Consider the contract inked. The Browns aren't losing to the Cincinnati Bengals in Cleveland. It's just not. The Bengals are not coming here and getting a win against the Cleveland Browns. So you might have that's all the analysis I need. Give the Browns a win. Let's move on to a real challenge in the AFC North. And this is, I think in a lot of people's opinion, well, not anybody's opinion, this is the team to beat in the AFC North because they keep winning the damn division. It's the Baltimore Ravens. Browns, Ravens. The last time we saw the Browns and Ravens go at it was that incredible victory. This play right here Greg Newsome with the pick six to tie the game. Well, no, almost to tie the game. They missed the extra point. But the Browns still came back and kicked a field goal at the end of regulation to win the game. Now it's time for Baltimore to come into Cleveland and take on the Browns. Camryn, how do the Browns handle the Ravens in this first matchup?
So last year, I had the Browns splitting the series with the Ravens, and I had them winning at home, losing on the road, and they did the opposite. But this year, it's going to be the same prediction, but they're going to actually listen to me. They're actually going to do what I think they're going to do. And I think they get this one. I think they split the series, but this is the game at home. They get the win. It's a big defining moment again in the AFC North, and it sets up for a really competitive game later on. And I think that game would be fall under the Hard Knocks later on. We'll get to that one. But this first one sets the stage for something really fun, and I think the Browns get the win, and the Ravens aren't very happy about it. But they can do it. They clearly can do it, and they can do it under unusual circumstances on the road last year. I think that this year it tells me they can do it at home.
Camryn, you are on the inside. You could have a chat with these guys so they could listen to you.
Correct.
Hey, just lose the other game. Don't lose the home one.
Right.
I think that they would probably listen to that advice, right?
Yeah.
Of course they would. Joey, how do you see this game going?
I always pick lose at home, win on the road. And I don't think anything's going to change this year for me. So I'm going to give this one a loss to the Browns. I just feel like every time the Ravens come to town, I just feel like, they usually just beat us in general, but I always just feel like we're not prepared for it. And it's just usually one of our worst looking games of the season is playing the Ravens at home. Aside for the Baker Mayfield game, week 16, 4 years ago, whatever that was.
Yeah.
That's the only exception. Every other game, it just feels like we're just unprepared. Last year was a little bit of an exception with DTR starting and knowing about that 4 hours before the game.
Yeah, right.
Who knows? The song could get popped in the Bengals game, and we're back to square one there.
Shut up.
Sorry. Yeah, give me the loss.
Chad.
In past years, I have always said that I will never pick the Browns to beat the Ravens twice in a year until they do. I think this is the year, everybody. This is the year we take it up a notch. The Browns beat the Ravens in a close one because both of these games are going to be close. We're taking it up a notch this year and going to that next level, everyone. Let's go.
Oh, God. Would you stop with the Arnold singing Creed song?
Oh, man. Shit. Camryn, have you ever heard Arnold Schwarzenegger do Creed? Because you just did if you didn't.
Was that what that was?
That's exactly what that was.
AI, but yeah.
And Arnold, he also does Bone Thugs and Harmony, if you haven't checked it out as well.
I hear a lot of Plankton AI. I haven't heard Arnold Schwarzenegger AI, so now I'm gonna have to search that.
Yeah.
That's got to be in my algorithm or something.
Along the same lines. Yeah.
I got a treat for you.
When judgment comes for you, what you gonna do when they know where to hide?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
You listen to that a lot. I can feel that.
All right, stop it.
You listen to that on your way to work. I know you do.
God.
That gets me pumped up for the day at 4 a.m.
Yes, my friend Dan Wise, who you'll catch in the comments here every once in a while, just let me know that Wishbone lives right around here. And now all I'm going to do is walk around the neighborhood until I get to meet him.
Just go yelling for Wishbone? Wishbone?
That's all I'm going to do until I get to meet him.
That's
give me the loss. Give me the loss against Baltimore. My thing forever. Again, I don't care about the split or the win or loss. I think that this is a split series. These are the two best teams in the AFC North. I think it's you got to give them credit for what they are, which is just a really well put together football team. I just always think the Browns play them better at Baltimore. I even though they don't win a ton at Baltimore, I just think those games are more competitive in Baltimore than they are in Cleveland. So give me the loss against Baltimore here in Cleveland, which takes us to the Harbaugh game. And I will always just post this picture when it comes to a Chargers game.
Dustin Hopkins missing the field goal.
if you don't remember it, Dustin, not missing. This is Jamie.
Sorry, block.
This is Jamie Meter getting his big paw on a field goal to give the Browns a win against the Chargers. But
Ashland boy, baby. Go AU.
The new Harbaugh coach, the khakis are in LA now. Justin Herbert, and a pretty decent roster there for the Chargers. Camryn, how do you think this game goes in Cleveland?
Yeah, see, that was the last time the Browns beat the Chargers. Again, they don't play all the time, but this is the last time. And that was iconic, and that was huge. I don't think that they get that one this time. I think this is one of those sad, hate to see it. Chargers come in, give them a loss that kind of wakes them up for the. And also, notoriously, the Browns, as much as we like to see them go into the bye week, right, with a win,
right?
And it doesn't always happen that way. So, following the trends, and we're going to go into the bye week, a long bye week, but this one's a loss.
Joey.
I'm going to give them the win here. I think this game at home is more winnable than this game played out in LA for the Browns. I think, maybe we'll get some elements this time of the year coming in on the LA parade. But I just don't. I think the Chargers are going to be really good in a couple years. I just don't think they're going to put it all together this year. They got a lot of new talent, especially in the wide receiver room. And so I'm just not quite sure what that offense is going to look like. Justin Herbert's coming back from the broken finger, which should be more than healed. But give me the Browns here.
Chad.
What did Jim Harbaugh do in his first couple years at Michigan?
Cheated.
Cheated. Didn't have the personnel that he wanted to be able to run his style of football. And he doesn't have that here with the Chargers. I think the Browns win this one. Still undefeated. Let's go Browns.
All right. What? So hold on. I want to fill us in on where we're at because I don't know if you guys have paid attention.
Let's do a bye week. We do a bye week recap once you do yours.
We're at the bye week.
What's your pick?
Yeah, I got him winning. I agree. I think Jim Harbaugh is a good NFL coach. If you'll remember when he left San Francisco, there were plenty of rumors about him having conversations in Cleveland before he went on to Michigan. I think he's a good NFL coach. I think he's kind of made for the NFL. I think he's going to have them playing pretty decent football. I just don't know that they have the team to come into Cleveland, especially now with the way we are built here in Cleveland. I don't think he's got the team to come into Cleveland and get a win. So give me the Browns taking the win.
He doesn't have the personnel that he wants to play his style of football.
Yeah. So let's just do a little bye week check-in. What picture did I use for the bye week? Oh, of course I did. Of course I used Pete Weber for the bye week. Who do you think you are? I am. Camryn Justice at the bye. You've got the Browns sitting at 6-3, which I think very realistically would be great. That's a really solid way to start through 10 weeks of the season. I've got both Joe and I have the Browns at 7-2, so a little bit more optimistic on that side of things. But again, with that start to the schedule, for me, I think the Browns have to get off to a hot start to do what they want to do this year. So 7-2, I think, okay. Chad Myers got the team at 9-0. 9-0.
You're damn right.
We're going to be going into week 11, 9-0 in Cleveland.
Wow.
And I don't know that it's ever going to end at this point. Now I'm looking at the schedule going, maybe they just go undefeated. Maybe we're talking about screw the 72 Dolphins. Cleveland Browns are going undefeated to the Super Bowl.
Wait. You
playing Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wait. Say that again.
What?
Say that again.
Say what again?
Say what you just said again.
Screw the 72 Dolphins.
And the what? And the what?
I'm not doing this.
And the Browns are going to what?
I'm not doing it. I'm not. Stop it.
We're going higher, baby. Let's go. We're going to the Super Bowl undefeated.
All right. So again, the wild scenario. Chad's got the Browns at 9-0 into the bye week. All right, let's come out of the bye week, and the Cleveland Browns go to New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Saints. The last time they played the Saints, it didn't go so well. The Saints got a win in Cleveland in cold weather. It was wild. So Camryn, how do we feel about Browns Saints in New Orleans?
Well, it's not going to be as cold as it was here last year. That was negative 20 degrees That was terrible. No, I think the Saints, looking at it earlier, when they announced the schedule and the opponents, it felt maybe a bit like an easier win to me. I think this will be a little challenge, but I do think that the Browns win this one. I do think that the Saints defense is good. This is another, again, test, and it depends on where we're at health-wise. But I have them going into the bye week with a loss, and you're sitting on that, and you're letting it fester. You got to turn it up. You got to turn it on. You got to recoup from that. I think this one is a big road win for the Browns.
Joey.
We've stumbled upon our trap game of the season.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Trap game. Trap game.
Stupid.
You're ready to get back in those. You're ready for the comeback game against the Steelers and Micah Fitzpatrick, and you're looking to just smash their teeth in. And you forget that the Saints are like fine as a team, kind of great. But like, I don't know. Maybe you thought you were playing like the Akron Zips or something this week.
Whoa.
Sorry. That's a low blow. Low blow.
Oh,
Seriously.
It was only because it was
Imagine.
If your goal was to shoot an arrow through Camryn's heart, Joey, bullseye.
I could do the Kent State Golden Flashes because I'm been just absolutely pummeled in my dynasty right now. So maybe I'll do them. Yeah, give me a loss here.
All right, Joe's got a loss. Chad, are we still undefeated?
Listen, the Saints have a really good defense. Okay, and I mean they just signed. I think they just no, never mind. That was Cam Hayward that just signed an extension. I was about to say Cam Jordan, but yeah, no, the Saints have a really good defense. Derek Carr seems to be clicking with Chris Olave here in the preseason.
I already know what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this game's going to go, to be honest with you. I keep flipping a coin back. Give me the Browns. Give me the Browns with a win and going 10-0.
10-0 Browns. I love this. It's my new favorite thing. All right. So they come off of that. Now we get into this really hectic. You got what? 4 games left in the division in just the last few weeks of the season. And it starts with the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Cleveland. So coming back home after that New Orleans game, Camryn, how do they finish this one up?
Listen, I said last year I thought the Steelers were going to be in the basement. I thought they were going to look terrible. Somehow they scrapped their way through, and by somehow I just mean Mike Tomlin. He's the only reason that they had any success because that team was terrible. I think they have gotten better. I think I do like some of the moves they made, and they made concerted efforts to add guys. Obviously, they've added 2 quarterbacks, and they said no to Kenny Pickett.
You're being so nice to the Steelers.
Because I'm going to give them 2 losses this season. That's why I'm being nice. Buttering them up for 2 losses. This is the first one. I think they're better, but I think the Browns are a better team, and I think the Browns are starting to learn. I think there was this almost like an energy, right, of the coaching, right? Mike Tomlin is this prestigious coach. He is incredible, and he is. And I think that kind of gets in the game plan a little bit. And I think the Browns are shying away from letting what we know to be the trend from overshadowing what they can actually do. So I think that the Browns overcome that. This is one of the 2 wins against the Pittsburgh Steelers this year.
Oh, let's go. I'm just mark the other one down right now.
Just mark it down. You don't skip me next time.
Mark it down. Joey.
Dub. Yeah, give me the win here. We're a little pissed off from the New Orleans game. This is a great home game. Hopefully I guess they kind of already had a revenge game for Nick Chubb, but like he'll be back at this point, hopefully. And so I hope he goes off on this team. Maybe just like no like goal yard or goal line snaps for him. I don't know. I'm just so nervous for him. I hope he's okay. But yeah, give me the Browns here.
Chad.
Yeah, what do you think? Give me 2 wins for the Browns here. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I don't have any trust in the Steelers' quarterback play. Their defense is going to keep it close like they always do, but I don't have any trust in their quarterback play. There's still a litany of questions along their offensive line. I don't think this Steeler offense is going to be able to do anything against this Browns defense. Give me the Browns. Yeah. Mark me down for that second win too.
Pittsburgh is not coming to Cleveland and winning against the Browns. That is not going to happen. Although I do think there is this desperate need by all of us Cleveland fans for the Pittsburgh to have for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be bad one of these years, like legit bad, like 6-11 bad, and they just won't do it. And every time we think they're going to do it, they don't do it, and they're 9-8, and they're 9-8, and they're 10-7, and they make the playoffs. So I do think we have a tendency to talk about them like they're maybe a little worse than they are. The defense is going to be legit in Pittsburgh. Offensively, they're going to be okay, but they're not coming into Cleveland and getting a victory. That ain't happening. So I will take the win there. We already know what's going to happen in 2 weeks, so let's just move on to this middle game here, a game that sucked last year because it was Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos against, at the time, DTR and the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns just couldn't put it together in that game. They take the loss in Denver. This year, they get a chance to go back out to Denver and redeem themselves against Bo Nix and crew. Camryn, how do you have this one going?
Oh, man. So I think that this is always a tough game. It's always a tough game. It was a tough game last year. So playing in Mile High, it's difficult. And so I think that they take all of that plus Jerry Jeudy revenge game. And I'm going to give him a win. This is the game. I think Jerry Jeudy shows up and he wants to prove to his former team what he can do with the opportunity presented it. I think that's the perception of him right now. And his time in Denver was they couldn't get the most out of him. He has a ceiling. He hasn't reached it because he just wasn't in a situation that was suited for him. I think this is the game where even if it is not necessarily defined where he is role-wise with the Browns, maybe it takes a little bit of time. We're deep in the schedule, so hopefully it doesn't take this long. Even if it is that, though, I think this is a game where he is ready to show why they lost a good receiver and what the Browns have gained. So give the Browns a win here.
Joe.
I agree. I think this is going to be a really tough game. It just always is when we're out in Denver and against the Broncos. And I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it. So give me a loss here.
Chad?
Listen, we could very well have Jared Stidham or Zach freaking Wilson starting this game. Who knows the type of year Bo Nix is going to have? Yeah, Browns are going to win this game. Revenge game. All in all, just in all aspects of this, right? I mean, a lot of injuries, a lot of just funky plays happened in this game last year. Browns are going to win. Browns are coming in with a vengeance.
I have to tell you, I think if I'm going to look back on my schedule game here, if I was being smarter, what I probably would say, because I'm going to give the Browns a loss here because I got to give them losses somewhere. If I was being smarter about my schedule game, I probably would give them a loss to Dallas or Jacksonville early, because I would very much doubt. I know Bo Nix is looking really good and whatever, but I really doubt that rookie quarterback is going to take out the Cleveland Browns. I just don't think that is going to happen. So I'm going to give him a loss here, but I would probably transfer that loss to somewhere else in the season. But for the purpose of what I want the final schedule record to be, I'm going to give him a loss here. Listen, we already know what three of us are picking for this game. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, no.
What are you guys laughing at?
Oh, man.
What are you guys,
nothing. Go on.
So we know Camryn, Chad, and I'll just throw my hat in there too. The Browns are not losing to Pittsburgh this year. So Camryn, Chad, and I are all giving the Browns a win in Pittsburgh for this one. Joe, though, you didn't give your answer to this one. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
No, I'm going to give them a loss here. I don't think we sweep the Steelers this year. They have gotten better, and they have Mike Tomlin as a fantastic coach. I think that one of these games of the Steelers we're going to drop to them, and I think it's going to be the one away for this year.
All right. I want to keep this picture on the screen, but let's just move on to the next game, and a game that just is going to be circled in everybody's calendar to start the year, because it is the dynasty, the Kansas City Chiefs. We are on our way home to play the Chiefs in Cleveland at Huntington Bank Field. I'm going to keep calling it that until I get used to it. And the Browns and the Chiefs late in the season. Camryn, how do you think this one goes?
Well, I'm disappointed in you that this is the picture you chose and not one of Taylor Swift. Very, very big bummer.
Oh, my good dipshit.
I'm so
Know
sorry.
your audience. Come on.
Seriously.
I know. You know what? I've totally messed it up.
It's fine. It's all right. I
Now
will
Camryn's
accept
not coming
it.
back for a 6th season.
Yes,
This
she
is it. You didn't include Taylor, and now I can no longer participate in the schedule game. No, I do. I think this is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And that's not to say the Browns aren't the Browns in the good way that we know that they have proven. And I think this could be a really fun and exciting game. I think this could be one of those explosive offensive games if the Browns have put it together at this point. It could be just like almost like a prime time feel, right? Even if it's 1 o'clock game, I feel like it's going to feel like a primetime game. So I'm going to give the Kansas City Chiefs this win. But again, it's almost like that Eagles game where a really tough opponent, even more difficult to beat than the Eagles. And so if they play them well, I'll take the moral victory all day. But realistically, the Kansas City Chiefs are reigning Super Bowl champs, and so I got to give them the win. And that's the only reason. I think the Browns have every opportunity to beat them, and they've got the roster that could do it. It's just I'm trying to be using this and not the heart, you know?
I get it. Joey.
Yeah, I'm also going to give this game to the Chiefs. It's like the old Tom Brady Patriots teams where it's just like December rolls around and like that team doesn't lose, and I kind of feel like the Chiefs are in that same tier. Obviously, they're in that same tier and caliber of a dynasty. But I think it's going to be a shootout. I'd love for this to just be a fun, high-scoring offensive game. But I'll give a slight edge to the Chiefs.
Chad. Oh, man.
It's going to be the most entertaining game of the season, I think. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth, high-scoring game. Browns are going to win 46-42.
Oh, damn. I love what Chad's doing here. I'm giving the Browns a loss. Joe, I think you made the point that really made me give the Browns a loss here because I think it is going to be closer than what anybody wants to give it credit for. You've got 2 teams in December coming up, one of which you really want to see at home in December, and the other of which you don't really want on your schedule in December. If you want to catch the Kansas City Chiefs, you want to try to catch them earlier in the season. I think you just have a better shot at them because once playoff time, once they can sniff it, they just start ramping up. And I think they could be doing that. So I do want to stop and pause here outside of Chad's schedule.
Why? What's wrong with my schedule?
No, nothing is wrong.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I just want to give a shout out to the Browns from last year, 8-1 at home, right? 8-1 at home. So far in our schedule game, and I think we're all being fairly friendly, although trying to be pragmatic about it. Joe, you, me, and Camryn, we all have the Browns with 2 losses at home. So imagine what they did last year at home, going 8-1, and think about how crazy it is for them to try to replicate that.
I actually had them at a losing streak at this point in the season.
You sure do. You got them losing 3 in a row. Let's see if that snaps because we're going to come out of this Kansas City game. Oh, I got them losing to Kansas City, if I didn't make that clear. They come out of Kansas City and they go to Cincinnati to take on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Camryn, how do you see this game going?
Prime time, baby. If no one knows already that the Browns have the Bengals number, they will now.
Yeah.
Watch it on the national television. Watch it. Check it out. The Browns get this win because that's what they do against Cincinnati.
Joe.
I'll say it again. Browns don't lose to the Bengals. Definitely not in prime time. Definitely not at home. Well, they're not at home, so definitely not at Paul Brown Stadium either. Doesn't matter where they go. They could be in Brazil. Browns got this one.
Chad.
What'd I say the first one? Bengals, dicks, kicked in. Browns, win.
You guys are really selling me, but I'm going to keep it with a Browns loss. Again, I just think the Bengals are – you have to give a little respect to the Bengals. And hopefully at this point at this point of their season – no, you know what? No, wrong. I'm sorry. I'm going to take that back. You don't have to give jack shit respect to the Bengals. But I do want to give
what?
Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow. I would like to give a little respect to Joe Burrow. I respect the guy. I like watching him play. And so I'm gonna give the Bengals a win here. I'm gonna give the Bengals a win at home. And this is the only time this season I've got the Browns losing back-to-back games against the Chiefs and the Bengals before we get into the last 2 weeks of the season. So I'm gonna give them a loss on this one. which takes us to the other team. And this is the one you do want to see in the cold in Cleveland in December. It's these frigid little fishies. The Miami Dolphins coming to Cleveland end of December. It's going to be cold as hell. And we know what happens to the Miami Dolphins when it gets cold as hell. Camryn, how do you see this game going?
All right, the Browns just got their win at Can't Paycor Stadium, and now they're coming back home, Huntington Bank Field. Got to get used to that.
Right?
Yeah, Dolphins playing in Cleveland. Hopefully it's snowy. Hopefully it's cold. It's also Ohio, and we haven't had very harsh winters. But I think this is a game. We talk about revenge games, and I think that you can't stress the importance of it. I mean, there really is something to play for. And I think defensively, Anthony Walker was such a big leader on the Browns. And so for him to be back home in Miami playing with the Dolphins, I think him coming back here, the Browns are going to want a little friendly fire, but it is against an opponent. I think the defense shows up and kind of rubs it in his face. Who's to say if Odell's playing? Who's to say?
Odell.
He's on the team. Could be a little.
What is he gonna do?
What's he gonna do?
He scored a touchdown against the Browns last year.
See, he could do something. No, I don't. The Browns win this one. One of the last games, hopefully, that we have weather on our side, and it's not just a neutral ground.
Yeah. Well, at least it'll be that way for a few years, but yeah.
Yes, but I don't want cold games all the time. just this
100%. Joey.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Browns a win here too. I just man, the Dolphins were just like a really hot team, a lot of points last season. But I don't know if they got better as a team. And I think maybe that affords especially this late in the season, to have a pretty good book on how they're going to run things and be prepared for them. And I like the weather element for the Browns here, so I'll take them getting the win.
Chad.
I haven't had a chance to look today. How's the reaction been on Huntington Bank Field?
I think pretty mild. I don't think anybody really cares, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say they could call it the tub of shit for all I care. Like just
win.
Who
cares?
Just win.
That's right.
And they win this one. Are you kidding me?
Dude Wipes Stadium at one point.
It's probably that'd be sweet.
We all thought it was going to be the Browns Bowl at Dude Wipe Stadium. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was so good. I don't know why they didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any other anything really to add. I mean, anything that we haven't said already. I mean, the Dolphins historically are terrible in cold weather, and this is Cleveland in December. The Browns are going to win. Come on, stay undefeated.
There is no way the Miami Dolphins are coming up here and getting a win. That's just not going to happen. They can't play their brand of football up here. They're going to get pushed around. They're going to be uncomfortable, and the Browns are going to take care of business against the Miami Dolphins, which leads us into the last week of the season. And the last week of the season is the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns in Baltimore. And this game could mean a lot for playoff seeding, for divisional championships. There's a lot that could be at play at this game. So, Camryn, why don't you take the lead? How are the Browns going to finish their season in Baltimore?
It's not going to be fun. I don't think they win this one, but only because I have them losing or winning. So it could be flipped. If they flip it, that'd be very fun. You go out on a high note. I think you might end on a low note. I think that it doesn't indicate anything to me whether or not they make. I don't think the season rides on this game. I think some of the standings, right? Some of the implications could rely on who plays, but I think they lose this one. And if there is something riding wherever you're at, if you're whatever seating you're looking at, maybe that changes things and you're looking at this game, then you're looking and you're scoreboard watching. I think Cleveland might be scoreboard watching at this point because they get the loss to the Ravens. Last loss of the season. But it's going to be fine because they'll win a playoff game.
Let's go. All right, Joe.
I know I said they're going to split the Ravens, but no, I think they lose this game as well. I think even if it's for something, I don't know. It's not because of Derrick Henry or anything they've gotten on the offensive side. I don't know if we're going to show up against the Ravens this year. I don't know. Just gut feeling. Nothing to go on that, but that's how I feel.
All right. Chad? Or do they complete the undefeated season?
Even though the Browns have already clinched home field advantage throughout the playoffs, in my schedule game, the Browns are still playing their starters because they want to beat the Ravens so badly. They want to beat the Ravens twice in a season for the first time in I don't even know how long. Browns are going to win in Baltimore in a tight one. 17-0. Let's go.
I said it to start, so 17-0 for Chad. I said
You're
it to,
goddamn right.
I said it to
I
start.
feel it this year, baby.
I said it to start the Browns. The Browns play better in Baltimore, and it just there's this part of me that dreams that last game of the season could be two teams, maybe with the same record coming into the game, and that is one game for the divisional title. It's a dream, but it's one I'm going to hang on to, and I think the Browns go into Baltimore and they stomp out the Baltimore Ravens. They win the AFC North for the first time ever, and the Cleveland Browns win the division with that win in Baltimore. That is just the storybook there, just to get them going into the playoffs where Camryn's already told you they're going to win probably multiple games. Multiple games, Camryn, is what we are talking about in the
all the
playoffs.
games.
So let's break it down real quick. Chad has the Browns going 17-0.
Who doesn't want that?
He pulled, I don't know if you saw the Miz on the Rich Eisen show, but he pulled a Miz on the Rich Eisen show to make him 17-0. Camryn, you and I both have him at 12-5. I like that. I don't know where this idea is coming from people that they're just going to be significantly worse than they were last year. I don't think that at all. I think they're a better team than they were last year. So 12-5 is where you and I both have them, and Joe has them coming in at 10-7 on the season with a tough stretch late in the season. Yeah. So
it's going to happen at some point. I don't know when, but
look, realistically, okay, I know I was having fun with this, but realistically, I think if everything goes right with the Browns, they're an 11 or 12 win football team. And if everything goes wrong with the Browns, they're probably an 8 or 9, maybe even 10 win football team. And the reason why I did that and the reason why I had fun with it, yeah, that's awesome, Serge.
Serge says if Chad's predictions are right, I might die of alcohol poisoning.
And the reason why I just had some fun with this tonight is because honestly, guys, and this is me personally. I know you'll disagree with it, Mike, but I don't have enough confidence in our quarterback right now. I don't have enough of a body of work with Deshaun Watson to really believe one way or the other where he's going to take this team this season. So I don't know. And for that, and that's why I had a lot of fun with this. But but looking at the big picture, the entire roster, I think if he's able to be 80-90% of what he was in Houston, or if he's able to stay healthy all season, he can be. This team can be 11 or 12 wins. If he struggles, but still stays healthy, I think they can be an 8, 9, 10 win football team. I don't think this is 9 or 10 win football team. I don't think this is a below 500 football team, whether he plays or not. I don't have enough confidence from everything I've seen with him in a Browns uniform now, because he's the cog in this whole thing. They're going to go as far or as short as he takes them. I don't have the confidence in him to feel one way or the other where this Browns team is going to go.
I get it.
That's kind of my thinking too, and I think. You got a defense that can take you to the Super Bowl, but you have a lot of questions on offense. Deshaun's obviously a big one, but also less fun to talk about. Like, you have Nick Chubb coming back from a very, very intense injury, and I don't think that it'd be right to expect for him to be, Pro Bowl caliber coming right back from this. Obviously, we hope that he is, and he is the Nick Chubb that we've had for the past several years in town. But realistically, a lot of players coming back from that type of injury need like a full year after coming back to really get back to form. So running game has me a little nervous this year. And Deshaun obviously has me nervous this year. But that defense looks good.
So Camryn, you've heard the two of them tell you why they're maybe a little skeptical on certain areas, and it all comes down to Deshaun, and of course it's going to. Why should we be optimistic, Camryn? I'm going to give you the last word. I'm going to give you the last word before we let you get out of here for the night. Why should we be optimistic that these 12-5s or 17-0s even are going to be the direction the Cleveland Browns go this year?
I think there's a couple things. First of all, the defense. I said it in every pick. I think the defense is the catalyst of success in Cleveland and with this team. And the defense is the same as it was last year, but maybe even better.
Yes.
You have a healthy Juan Thornhill, and I think that one's huge. You've got guys who are looking to really show up in their roles. That cornerback room just, to me, is huge. And then you've got guys waiting in the wings like Cam Mitchell in that room, and these rookies like Miles Harden. And so that defense has just gotten better. And to me, it's year 2 under Jim Schwartz, and you've just gotten better on the roster. That should make you excited. That should give you some confidence. And then offensively, we don't know. Again, I can't sit here and tell you what Deshaun Watson's going to do because that is the big question mark. But I can tell you that he's healthy. I can tell you that his shoulder is fine. And I can tell you that the Browns have made moves in order to address the confidence and the mental side of the game too, and that is in Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston being on this roster should give you a little bit of confidence that Deshaun Watson can get over that hurdle and hopefully become the guy that he is supposed to be in Cleveland. I think that is the biggest move, and it's talked about, but I don't know how much it's talked about. I think that will be the game changer for him, is having a guy like Jameis Winston who can center him, ground him, and help him get back and focused. And it's not just about the shoulder anymore, because physically he's fine. Mentally, he needs to be in a place where he can make a couple mistakes and bounce back from it, not try to play hero ball, not make bad choices, and just play the football that he knows how to do. And Jameis Winston is a guy that's in that room with him. He is on the field with him all the time, talking to him, and he's got a very similar background as him, and I think can really help him get to that point. And my last point, the run game, because Joe, you mentioned that you were a little bit worried about it. Aren't we all? With no Nick Chubb, how can you not be worried about it? I think Jerome Ford really did hold his own. Pierre Strong did well as well. I mean, like being asked to do so much, but I do like the additions. I think Deontay Foreman is a really strong addition. I really have liked what I've seen from him in training camp. His ability he was the only running back. Jerome Ford is good. Pierre Strong is good. Deontay Foreman was the only running back in the joint practices against the Vikings that had an explosive run that was able to find the end zone. He is a guy that could maybe get you to that next level. And if Naheem Hines can get back too, I think he's an underrated piece to this puzzle offensively. And so there are so many things to be optimistic about. Obviously, it has to show up on the field, but it is not all doom and gloom on the offense, even though there's a lot of question marks. There are some really good parts and pieces that they've put together, and I'm really excited to see how it comes together. And I'm optimistic, but I'm a silver linings girl, so I'm always optimistic. But I truly am. I really think that they could do something special if all these pieces play the way that they look like they could.
There isn't one area of this roster that should have you feeling doom and gloom except for one. Otherwise, the wide receivers are great. Even the running backs without Chubb. Again, Deontay Foreman's a great addition. It's like the revved up version of Kareem Hunt from what Kareem Hunt was. It's a guy that can get you big explosive runs. That is an incredible add. The offensive line is going to be good again. The defense is going to be spectacular again. The coaching staff is incredible. They've got everything in place. Number 4 has got to come out and play. That's it. That's the story. That's the end of it. And for all the people who are being a little bit overly doom and gloomy about number 4, just remember what the Browns' record was when he started for them last year. Because even though you might not think he played spectacularly in all of those games, remember what the Browns' record was when he played in those games last year. They were really good with him as the starting quarterback. And I would anticipate seeing that again. I'm so excited about it.
Shannon Sharp predicted the Browns go to the AFC Championship game.
Hell yes.
You know what I'll do if that happens?
Oh, no. Don't say you're going to eat some poop because that guy.
Dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody.
God damn it.
Yeah.
What'd I do?
Stop it. Why do you have all those loaded up? All right, Camryn Justice. Listen. Camryn's going to be covering the Browns all season long. Camryn does an incredible job for Channel 5 WEWS here in Cleveland. And again, we always just feel lucky to call you a friend and do this with you every single year. Hopefully our predictions are correct.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah. Nope.
Hey, your mic got unplugged.
You went away.
You're doing a little Brian Kelly slapping the table.
Yeah, it sure did. Oh, yep.
Now you're actually muted on StreamYard. No, your mic.
Now can you hear me? Can you hear me?
There it is.
This
Horrible.
stupid thing. I was trying to be nice to Camryn. Camryn, you're awesome. You are amazing at what you do. And the whole city of Cleveland, every time I say, like, oh, we're having Camryn Justice on, everybody's like, oh, we love her. You are awesome at what you do. So shout out to you. Thank you for coming on with us. Thank you for always being a friend of the show. And we'll catch up on how we did on this schedule game a little bit down the line.
We'll circle back. And I think that it's going to be good. Maybe we get a couple more wins than I gave them. Cheers to you guys.
Let's go. We love you, Cam. Thanks so much.
Love the schedule game. Thanks, guys.
That's Camryn Justice from Channel 5 here in Cleveland. She's the best. I love that she does this with us and hangs out with us. And again, nobody, we outside of the OBR here, where we do incredible coverage with the Cleveland Browns, nobody covers the Browns better than Camryn Justice. She is awesome. So, all right, boys, I've got some quick hitters. Who's texting me that I sound like crap?
Me, yeah. So it's like, you know, those like little like voice changer things, megaphone things that make you sound like an alien, but it just sounds like gargle. That's kind of what you sound like right now. Well, now it's nothing. Yeah. But maybe just give like the cord a little unplug, a little replug, maybe just like a little extra, make sure it's like in there. Then unmute on StreamYard, make sure you turn back to the Yeti microphone. And then hopefully it'll sound beautiful. Yeah, voice is loud for sure.
There we are. Are we back?
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Yes. We're back. I'm not touching anything. I'm not touching anything.
It was distorted and gross.
Christ in heaven. Anyway, shout out to Camryn Justice. We're going to go a little bit long here tonight because I've got a couple things that we want to hit on before we get out of here. But we always do, right in the middle of our show, we always do one of our favorite segments of the week, which is our asshole of the week, where we just go around the horn and call out somebody who's been an asshole. So I'll lead us off here tonight. I've got another video. My asshole of the week is Hunter Wendelstedt, and I'm going to explain it. After I show this video.
The manager said,
"Oh, sorry, Steve."
And that's it.
It looks like Grady Sizemore has been tossed, and he is hot. He said 2 nights in a row, you are squeezing the strike zone of my guys. And you know what? Grady's right. It's been a bad night for Hunter Wendelstedt.
Hunter's getting up in Grady's face.
Oh, he gave him an F-bomb.
Well,
Hunter, we can read lips, my man.
All right, so,
cool, dude.
You know why Hunter Wendelstedt is my asshole of the week this week? Because nobody messes with my Grady Sizemore like that. I don't know what it is about Grady Sizemore. I don't know what it is about that dude, but I still feel like he belongs to us here in Cleveland. And when I see him managing the White Sox, I want him to be successful. Do not mess with our Grady Sizemore like that, Hunter. You piece of shit. Getting up in Grady's face like that, like you're going to fight him. Do not mess with my Grady Sizemore. I am one of Grady's ladies.
Oh, God.
I'm Grady's lady.
Yeah.
Does Katie get up and find you with just a coffee cup in the morning?
Yes, she does. Hunter Wendelstedt's my asshole of the week. All right, Chad, what about you?
I'm going with ungrateful bums. I just so in Portland, I gave a homeless guy like he was asking for cash, and I have a heart, guys. Believe it or not, somewhere within all this hair, I have a heart. And he was asking for change, and I looked at my wallet, and who carries cash anymore, right? But I just so happened to have a $5 bill in my wallet, and I gave it to him, and he does this to me. He goes, "Is that it?" And I go, "Yeah." And then he looks down again, and he goes, "Okay." I said, "You know what, asshole? You're lucky I even had cash on me just to give you. Go get your McChicken and a 40 and fucking and get out of here, you son of a bitch." Yeah. Say thank you. You're lucky anybody has cash. You're lucky I had cash on me.
Oh man, Chad. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
You son of a bitch.
You didn't have to do it. Most people don't do it.
I get it.
When you do it, if you get heckled by them, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, right.
I get it. Yeah, it's lame. That's lame. If somebody truly, if somebody just gives you anything,
Yeah.
And you're not grateful for it. It's lame. But yeah.
No, thank you. No, nothing. He just goes. Is that it? Thank you, dude.
Well, yeah. Yep, I know. Ray Bidding says you should have asked him for change.
You got change.
You got change for a 5 or nah? All right, Joe, who's your asshole of the week?
This is gonna sound like a good thing, but like it's not. It's Brian Rocchio hitting a home run tonight. The guy, I run around first. Guy gets into the box, and he's bunting, playing small ball.
Well, that's all they trust him to do at this point.
Horrific bunts, like above the zone, just shot over to the Royals dugout. Just horrible bunts, like piece of shit bunts. And then he smokes one to left field, and like I just want him to get sent down. So I don't want him on the team anymore. I'm not buying Brian Rocchio stock anytime soon. It's just he just doesn't add anything to the team. He's kind of a liability at defense at times. Like he's not around for the defense. He's not around for the bat. Like I'd rather just have Schneemann in there and see how that goes. So I don't know. When the team was like bad a couple weeks ago, we were talking about it's like, usually you have like one like shining star late in the lineup. It'll never be Brian Rocchio. And then when the team's good, Brian Rocchio will still not be good. I don't know. This
might be the wrong week for that though, because like he's had a couple massive home runs this week to get the Guardians a win, including tonight. And tonight there's no bigger game in the whole season than what was tonight, and he smashed a home run in the game. So maybe I get it. I don't love him, but the week is not the greatest week.
Shout out to the Royals series in Cleveland last week, right?
So let's talk about it for a minute, because that's going to be our next topic. We're going to do a couple quick hitters. We're going to do one final thing, and then we're going to get out of here. But as far as a quick hitter goes, let's go to the Guardians. That's a great segue, Joe, because what you were just getting at. The Guardians of the Royals last week played a 4-game series in Cleveland. The Royals won the first 3 games of that. And at the end of that night, the Royals were tied with the Guardians for the top seed for the AL Central lead. So the Guardians had basically squandered a 9-game AL Central lead over the course of a month, and the Royals, over those 3 games, tied the Guardians for the division lead. In 1 week since then, including 2 wins over the Royals. Now the Guardians just won 7-1 tonight. The Guardians have opened up a 5.5 game lead over the Royals. So the Royals threw their ultimate haymaker.
Yeah.
And it landed. And it got the Guardians square in the face. But as they hit the haymaker, the Royals fell off balance. Like they just put themselves in a terrible position. They fell off balance everywhere. And now here we are, guys, with 20 games left in this season. The Royals are now 5.5 games back to the Guardians, and 1 game tomorrow. And really, that game tomorrow, boys, the Guardians can, you see what can happen in 1 week. But if the Guardians can win that game tomorrow against the Royals, it can effectively put the Royals away for the season. And you got the Twins now. The Twins are in second place in the division. They are 4.5 games back. But they had closed that gap too, and the Guardians have kind of expanded that. And the Twins lost today against the Rays 2-1. So you win that game tomorrow, boys, and you just have to play decent baseball the rest of the way to win the division.
Yeah. And what's been really interesting is looking back at how the trade deadline moves played out for them. And I think that's been a really big attributor to how well they've been able to kind of turn things around this past week. I mean, you've had Boyd and Cobb just come into the starting rotation and been nothing short of phenomenal for this team. I mean, you've been looking for consistency in the starting pitching role all season. You've gotten it from 1 or 2 guys. And now you have Gavin Williams pitching better than he's have. Bybee bounced back today, which is really nice to see. So now you're looking at a solid 4-starter rotation, which is enough to carry you into the playoffs, through the playoffs. You have the bats waking up, and you hope that, they're going to have times where they wake up a lot. They're going to have times before the end of the season where they drop off. But you just hope that they have more ups and downs as an offense. They can stay somewhat consistent going into the postseason, but completely 180 from what we talked about last week. I mean, the team really turned it around. I think are they 4.5 up on the Tigers still?
On the Twins, the Tigers are.
Or Twins. Sorry, Twins. My bad. Twins.
But here's a good point too from Zook. They're really 5.5 games up on the Twins because they have the tiebreaker. So the Twins have to beat them in the standings. They can't come up tied. If they come up tied, the Guardians win it. So it's really 5.5 up on both the Twins and the Royals now.
That's great. Yeah, that's really exciting. And I think August was a little month of concern for all of us. It's like, well, maybe they really don't have it, but it seems like they had a really good counter to the right hook the Royals gave us. The Twins have always just kind of been around, but I don't think they've had any big runs here to really push that lead on us. So yeah, that's really excited for this last little stretch here.
So here's what the schedule looks like, boys. Just end it. Sorry, Chad, I was going to give you a second, but you're good there. So 1 game left against the Royals, and then we're done with the Royals. Then obviously an incredible challenge coming up the end of this week with a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series in LA against the Dodgers. That's going to be brutal. But you come off of that against you got a 3-game stretch against the worst team in maybe the history of baseball, in those Chicago White Sox. 31-109 is their record on the season. It is the most outlandish thing I've ever heard. The Guardians have to go take care of business there. Doesn't really matter what happens against the Dodgers. Try to get a win out there and then come back and beat the shit out of the White Sox. Otherwise, you got the Rays at home. The Rays are a 500 club. You got one more series at home against the Twins. You can take care of the Twins in that series right there. And then you've got a 500 Cardinals team in St. Louis. You've got a less than 500 Reds team here in Cleveland. And what you really want to do if you're the Guardians, have this thing wrapped up by the time you're done playing the Reds in that penultimate series. Because what you don't want to do, your last series of the year, I hate to give them credit, but your last series of the year is against the Astros here in Cleveland. You don't want them to play spoiler in your division hopes.
Sure.
Yeah. Wrap up the division before you play the Astros, and then play that last 3-game series for seeding, and you're still playing for something, but get that last 3-game series out of the way against the Astros, get the division out of the way before you play them, boys. But that is, with what they've done this week against Kansas City, that is now on the table. If they can come out and get a win tomorrow against Kansas City and you've swept them at home, getting this division wrapped up before you get to that last series is right on the table for you if you're a Guardians fan. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the way they have responded. You couldn't put it better than what Pat Shea said when I flashed on the screen before. They got knocked down to the mat and they got up. They got up off the mat and they are swinging back and they're playing great baseball.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you wanted to see. I mean, you're wondering if they were going to come out of it. I mean, we talked about all season about how you want to avoid the big slump, and they did that. And they saw that big lead dwindle down, and they took a long, hard look at themselves, and they turned things around. And here we are now with a chance to wrap up the division. So, yeah, you can't help but feel proud of what this team has done and how this team has responded. I mean, you knew they were going to come out of it at some point, but how well were they going to come out of it? And right now, yeah, they're playing really good baseball. Unbelievable. And again, right now you've got some unbelievable things happening in baseball. And Aaron Judge at bat is just not to be missed, right? Like, you don't want to miss an Aaron Judge at bat. Shohei Ohtani and what he's doing in LA, you don't want to miss it because it's special. You've got that happening in Cleveland with Emmanuel Clase. When that dude takes the mound, you don't want to miss it. What he is doing this year is special, and it's not what you typically would think. He's not striking everybody out. Instead, what that dude is doing, I would love to see the numbers on it.
because I feel like he is not just is he the most dominant closer in baseball, but I feel like he's always doing it on less than 10 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like every inning is just quick. Every inning is just like, 2 pitches ground out, 1 pitch ground out, 3 pitch strikeout, done, out of it. We're on to the next game. It's dominant in a way where whether he's striking you out or whether you're making contact, you don't have a shot. You're either grounding the ball out easily to one of the infielders or you're getting struck out. Emmanuel Clase, I do feel, again, I think right now if you look at like the betting things, it has Scooble from Detroit as like the Cy Young favorite. I just think as the season goes on, if the Guardians win the division and he just continues to dominate on the saves perspective, I think he's going to be right there. I think you might see a closer win the Cy Young this year. All right, boys. Anything else on the Guardians before we get to our last segment?
Nope.
Okay. So we're going to take a minute and get serious here. And we're going to do our cheer of the week. And where'd Chad go? You still here, Chad?
You just turn his camera off.
Okay.
It takes you out now when you do that.
Oh, all right. But he's still here?
Yep.
There he is. We're going to do our cheer of the week. And usually our cheer of the week is where we kind of have fun with somebody that did something great that week or made a special play or just did something cool in humanity. But we are part of a community that got hit with some really, really horrendous news on Thursday night going into Friday of last week. We've been taken in and become part of the family that is Columbus Blue Jackets fandom. We have gotten to know the people within the Blue Jackets organization. We've gotten to be very good friends with some other podcasters that cover the Blue Jackets, or just fans of the Jackets, or just people that are around that organization. And I think we've all been very excited to see the changes with the Jackets and looking forward to the hockey season. And, you know, it's a young up and coming team and we're going to see what they can put together this year. And that's really all we focused on. And we've had their GM on with us and, you know, it's really all been about the hockey, and words cannot express my emotion that I felt when I woke up on Friday morning, getting ready to work, and I popped open Twitter and I saw the Columbus Blue Jackets put out a post that says the Columbus Blue Jackets mourn the loss of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew in a tragic accident. And it took a good amount of time for me to even understand that it was a real situation. This was a picture from the post from the Blue Jackets. I felt when I originally saw it like I was looking at somebody like making a fake thing on Twitter. And then my phone just started going off and it was talking to you guys. And it was, I probably got 700 text messages on Friday from people. And the basic theme was just, what the hell? Like, what the hell happened? And in the end, we don't want to talk about too much about what happened, but Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew lost their lives in a horrible accident made by somebody who made a terrible decision, who wound up killing not just an incredible hockey player, not an incredible hockey coach in his brother, but he killed a son, 2 sons, 2 brothers, one father to be, 2 husbands, just absolutely devastating a family on the day where these boys were supposed to be groomsmen, or I guess the eve of the day these boys were supposed to be groomsmen in their sister's wedding. You couldn't write this script for Hollywood. They would turn it down and say, no, that's too unrealistic. It put me in a cloud, boys. I don't know how it was for you, but it put me in a cloud for the weekend. I'm sure, I don't think I'm still out of it, but Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew lost their life due to a senseless act by a stupid person last week. And he's a guy we've had on the show. He's a guy we got to know for like a half hour, and it was, well, for about an hour, and it was super cool. And I'm going to tell that story again. But boys, just share your thoughts on what happened with Johnny Gaudreau.
I mean, you said it. You said it best, man. And it's and I don't, and I still think about it now, and I just get choked up and I just get teary eyed at the fact that, again, and like you said, not only losing a great hockey player, a great human, a great dad, a great son, but that family, everything you read about that family, you see and hear nothing about how strong their bond is. But when I sat there and I thought about those two little girls, not knowing, they're not gonna remember him. They're not going to. I mean, obviously it's Meredith's job to make sure his memory stays alive, and she will. But the fact that they're not going to be able to get to grow up with their dad, man, that just tore my heart in pieces. It made me go and hug my kids. It made me go and tell my wife I love her. It made me call my mom and tell her I love her. That made me call everybody in my life and tell them I love them. And it's just, God, life's just so short. Just don't hold grudges, right? You never know when it's gonna end, when it's all gonna end one day. I mean, Johnny Gaudreau, for all intents and purposes, was just a young, healthy man just living his life, and he just went for a bike ride with his brother. That's it, and now he's gone, and just like that, he's gone. Life is just so. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Shameless or the show Shameless. You guys ever watch it?
Yeah.
And just for as dirty and as rotten as William H. Macy's character was in that the very last line of that, the very last episode of that show is it rings so true to me. Is he says, time is precious. Don't fucking waste it. And because you just never know when that clock's going to run out, man. And then I'll tell you what, you look at the post that Meredith made, you look at the post that his sister made, and you can't help but be inspired by the strength that they're showing.
Yes.
They could be sad, which obviously they are, but they chose to put it out there to let them know, like, oh man. And I choked up and teared up again when I cried when I saw Meredith say, "We're going to make you so proud." And I was like, oh God, and Katie promising Johnny and Maddie that, I'm never going to stop saying your name, and I'm going to take care of mom and dad and the rest of his brothers and sisters. Like, oh,
and their kids.
And I just, oh my God, I just, such strength and inspiration through such a tragic loss. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks all around.
Yeah. I mean, I always try to find like the silver lining in tough situations. And this is one that I struggle with. I mean, there's just like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just something that's absolutely taken for somebody that absolutely did not deserve it. And it's really a tough part of life. I think we all have to go through, not go through, but like, we see it happen, and it could happen to us someday. And it's just puts a lot of things in perspective. I look at the years on there, and I'm the same age as Johnny. And it's just like, it just makes you think like, something like that could get taken away. And yeah, it's just very sad. Such a good guy, a guy that moved to Columbus, not for the prestigious winning nature of the Blue Jackets, but because he wanted to make a move for his family and be closer to family, New Jersey. And, he just had the presence to uplift people around him. And it was just a very good spirited person. And so it's a really tough loss.
Well, I'll tell the story again because I think it really is a good representation of everything you hear about Johnny Gaudreau. And it's what happened with us here on the Garage Beers podcast. because Chad and I and Joey basically danced around like little kids when our buddy Todd Sharrock got back to us and said, yeah, Johnny will do your show. Because we do this for fun and we have a great time with it. We don't take it too seriously. And so when somebody like Johnny Gaudreau, who is a multiple-time All-Star and just one of the top-level talents in the NHL of his time, says, yeah, I'll go on and hang out with the Garage Beers guys. We feel fortunate and like, I don't know, we never feel worth it. Even with it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who our guest is. If we have a guest that says yes to us, we're just eternally grateful, to be honest. So when Johnny Gaudreau says, yeah, I'll come on, we're like, great. So we get a message from our friend Todd that says, hey, Johnny's going to come on with you guys, but he's also on his off day and he's got his young family. And so can you guys keep it to about a half hour? Is there any way you guys can do that? We were like, hell yeah. We tell people all the time, we don't care how long you come on with us. You could be like Camryn Justice and join us for an hour and a half, or you could come on for 15 minutes. We don't care. We just want to hang out with you. And so here comes Johnny. And it's just me and Chad because it was the middle of the day and Joey had to work. And we connect with Johnny. And we have this kick-ass interview. And he is spectacular. And in the world of hockey, I got to give Johnny credit for a minute. In the world of hockey, it's tough to get a spectacular interview because hockey players are not men of many words. No. Hockey players are very much oh, yeah, it was great. Yeah. And that's the answer. And you're like, oh, shit. All right. Oh, yeah, we didn't play so good in that game. Oh, no. Okay. And you're like, oh, all right. Well, okay. Let's not even. But Johnny was not like that. He talked about his family and he talked about coming to Columbus and he talked about his career and he talked about playing with the Jackets and he talked about his friends and we got to know him a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and that was the interview, right? Because the Jackets were in the middle of a terrible season, and I told Todd, I said, we just want to come on and have some fun with them, and we had a blast.
Yeah, let's have a smile. And what happens? We're wrapping up the interview, and my face goes white as a ghost. And Chad notices my face goes white as a ghost, and then he notices why my face went white as a ghost. And the reason my face went white as a ghost is because I looked up and saw this little record thing that happens on the screen wasn't on. So we just did a half-hour interview with Johnny Gaudreau, just like an absolute. It's what we talked about from the minute he signed with the Jackets, and we didn't record it, and it wasn't there. I don't know what happened; it just wasn't there. And so Johnny notices that I'm white as a ghost and Chad's white as a ghost, and he goes, did I miss something? That's what he said. He goes, did I miss something? And we looked at him and we said, hey, man, I leveled with him. I go, hey, I know it's a family day for you, so maybe we can do this again sometime. But we just noticed that our system didn't record this. So we just did this whole interview and nothing saved, and we're not going to have anything from it. But like, maybe we'll work with Todd and get you back on again, and we'll do it again down the line. And he goes, well, do you guys have to go? And we were like, what? And he was like, well, can you just record it and do it again? And we were like, yeah, but like, if you have other things you got to do, we'll figure it out a different time. He's like, boys. He looked. The quote was, boys, just run it back. And like the goosebumps of this dude, I was so excited at the end of it. I was like, this is the nicest guy we've ever talked to.
Yeah.
And we did. We ran it back. And it wasn't nearly as good the second time as it was the first. But it was still great. And that's the kind of guy that he was. He was a superstar without an ego. He was the smile that you saw on his face was real. Nothing was for show with this dude. He didn't do anything to try to impress anybody. He was just a real guy from a real place that loved playing the game of hockey, and he loved being a dad, and he loved being a husband, and he loved being a part of his family. And I'm so grateful I got to stop hitting the table. I'm so grateful that we got that time with him. I'm just very grateful for that because
me too.
Yeah,
and I remember. You remember at the end too. After we recorded the second time, we said, "Thanks, man." We promised Todd we'd only take, and hopefully Todd doesn't listen to this. I get in trouble with him, but we said, Todd only told us to take 20 minutes with him, and Johnny just goes, "Don't even tell him."
Anyways, we there's no fitting way to do a tribute to this dude. We hope just telling a story to make you laugh a little bit. We'll do it for you, but we're as sad and devastated as you could be about this news. Johnny Gaudreau gone way too soon, and again, the privilege was ours of just being able to spend an hour with him, half of it recorded, half of it not. But getting to see the person that he actually was incredible, and the impact that he had on the communities that he was in. When you look at the tributes that they did in Boston, because he went to Boston College, and up in Calgary, an incredible tribute up there. Obviously, the tributes in Columbus, the tributes in the Philly area. Johnny Gaudreau had a positive impact on everybody everywhere he went. His brother Matthew, much of the same. We didn't get to know Matthew, but from everything you hear, just much of the same. And our condolences go out to the Gaudreau family, and especially to Johnny's wife and kids. And one last shout out goes to the hockey community, because they started a GoFundMe page. Matthew's wife was pregnant with their first child, is pregnant with their first child. And obviously Matthew didn't sign any kind of contracts like Johnny had signed. And financially it's going to be a struggle. And they started a GoFundMe page for Matthew's wife with the goal of reaching $50,000, and it's already at $500,000. And that's just a big shout out to the hockey community. So I don't know. We hope this was an okay tribute to Johnny, because I don't think you could do a good enough one. But Johnny Gaudreau, his brother Matthew, you guys will be so missed. And it was an absolute pleasure getting to have the Gaudreau experience there for as long as we were able to. And we will all, I think personally, look to live on with the same kind of joy and positive nature that those boys live their lives with. So rest in peace forever, Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. That's going to do it for us on episode 228 of the Garage Beers podcast. We love you guys for joining us. We're going to do our last thank yous before we get out of here, and then we will we'll leave you before episode 229. First of all, big thank you goes out to our special guest, Camryn Justice, for joining us for the Browns schedule game tonight. Camryn is the best, and we really appreciate her for hanging out with us. Go follow her on Twitter at Cammy Justice. Our second thank you goes out to the OBR, the Orange and Brown Report, hosting us every single week. We love the OBR, the best coverage for the Browns you're going to get out there. Make sure you have subscribed to everything OBR related, and shout out to the OBR. And our last thank you goes out to you, everybody that joined us here tonight. Whether you are live and you were in the comments were great tonight. Shout out to you guys, or whether you're watching us later or listening to us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Shout out to you. We appreciate you and we love you. That is going to do it for episode number 228. Until next week for episode 229. We'll talk to you later, and cheers, everybody.